Conventioneers and convention news. This is internet personality Vangelus, and the Combiner Force Crash Combiner ending of Robots in Disguise 2015 was sadly not the event I wish it had been. However, the final throws of the line have trickled their way into a store or two, so here's a look at Saberhorn and Bisk, sometimes known collectively as Saberclaw, who never combined once in the entire show. Also, this is the only Saberhorn toy. Double also, this review is the scion of TFcon Chicago 2018's fan media panel, so enjoy all the extra colors. These two are kinda sorta beefed up mixtures of legends and three-step changers, kinda if you downstep the three-step changer, upstep the legends, which means they're pocket small and doing a decent job of carrying their highly different alt modes. From the front, there's some unmistakable crotch and connection ports hanging out on the rear ends, but hey, they got that weird human-like face on Saberhorn's bug mode, and Bisk is still rocking some solid Automotive swoosh, even when that Automotive form is a lot more of a lump than almost any of his other toy releases. For real, there are like 5 Bisk toys, and this is all Saberhorn ever got. This guy was like one of the 2 main antagonists at the start of the... Anyway. It is dead easy to transform these, and for me, the highlights are extremely specific. Bisk's feet click into position with startling satisfaction, and Saberhorn has these sliding hips that are so, to use the phrase again, extremely specific for giving him an A stance and aligning his hip skirt sculpting. When individual modes are more of a garnish than a main course, little things like that add just a dash of fancy garlic lace seasoning to what could have been some vanilla-ass packet salt. Saberhorn and Bisk both try to achieve a front-facing representation of their character models in robot mode, and hey, Saberhorn's doing some real work. Crash Combiner Bisk kinda looks like a lump on his best day. The great equalizer is the rear view, which is quite literally a declaration that, hey, these two guys are maybe actually each half of a larger guy. Saberhorn's fate as a bigger bot's crotch remains on display for all to see from behind. What I will give a respectful nod to is the quality of the tiny head sculpt. Well, I give a nod to Bisk's, which puts in an effort, but I give a warm hug to Saberhorn's, which pushes its contextual quality pretty darn hard, almost as though everyone involved knew that this was the character's one shot at plastic representation. They got the colors, they got some fairly crisp facial detailing. It's delicious and tiny. Alright, so, Crash Combination. The instructions say to get these guys back to their alt modes first. The big obvious ports are now primed to smash together car butt to bug butt. A real satisfying auto-morphing upper body transformation takes place when you do so, and then you realize you probably didn't need to transform Saberhorn out of his robot mode, short of folding his head away. Ah well, it's a simple process with some solid tactile feedback, with the connection system's meaty ka-shunk, followed by a spring-loaded f-click. However, they do combine, and even though they're cheap, they do combine, so...
Bisk Saberhorn Crash Combine.
Swordsman in the deadly claws of a gamer!
Big thanks to my brave panel audience volunteers for throwing in some on-the-spot voice work, because this video's hitting its coda with a look at Saberclaw, the gestalt form of Bisk and Saberhorn. It's a great combined color palette and a fairly solid design on paper. I dig how Bisk's individual arms have become the thumbs of Saberclaw's claws, and there's a lot of solid work on the head sculpt and chest sculpt. A Bisky claw forehead crest on Saberhorn's superior facial color layout, and it's in Saberhorn's colors, so we're like mixing colors with sculpted motif. There's a faceplate because that's what you get when you gatai. Just, you know, don't look at them from behind, right? Because then you're seeing 2 little people upside down. You can even fold their heads out if you want to just get like all body horror with this thing. Their little antenna and horns kind of interlock if you mess around with them the right way. The right way? This is my only 2-member Crash Combiner that I own, and in that context, I kinda like it. These are 2 characters I enjoyed. Their colors do a lot of work to make this whole experience more exciting. The Crash Combination gimmick is giving me great hand-feel returns. In the context of what this is, and let me repeat that in verbal boldface, in the context of what this is, I only have 2 major qualms. I think it's a legitimate buzzkill that Saberhorn does not do any automorphing of his own for the Saberclaw combination, and the $20 Canadian retail price point is severely ridiculous as far as getting bang for your buck. Picking these guys up outside of a sale is an act of character, loyalty, and financial irresponsibility, and I say that because I believe I engaged in both of those things when I decided to become a Saberhorn completionist. Don't go into this expecting a massive surprise, my fellow Biskiacs and Saberhorn Saberheads. It is what it looks like it is. Anyway, this has been Internet Personality Vangelus, and yo, okay, alright, I know someone's gonna say it, someone's already typing it, hey, you didn't go over the articulation on these blatantly not very articulated toys, so, Johnny Brain Suspenders, here you go, Bisk does this. That is all he does. You can point his toes if you want to, but why would you want to do that? You can also kind of fake looking down if you don't mind splitting that open. It's kind of like an ab crunch, kind of like a neck joint, only not. And then Saberhorn over here, he's got a different thing going on because his head's not attached to his chest, so he can actually kind of more realistically look down in a way that looks like he is actually kind of looking down. Then he can flap his arms to fly like in the show, and his hips can do that slidey thing, and that's sort of something that's going on. There's an odd amount of range to this, given that there's little detenty things in there that they're supposed to kind of click into in positions, and it doesn't entirely work. It just gives you some tactile feedback. So that's the articulation. Oh no, okay, well here, he can also kick his shin forward, but his leg does not go forward. But hey, let's say, oh, what if they pose better when they're crash combined? Well, Franklin, educated nuts, check it out. Here, I've crash combined them, and they inherit kind of both characters' articulation to a degree. You get Saberhorn's kind of meaningless slidey hips, and you get Bisk's elbows, just on a grander scale. That's all you get. As for pegs and ports, there is a 5mm peg on top of Bisk, and there's a 5mm peg on top of Saberhorn, so you can put little Minicon dudes on there if you want to, or other 5mm things. Neither are usable in either of the robot modes, unfortunately, and that's a shame. I would have loved to see a 5mm port just right dead smack here, so this guy could at least, like, level a weapon at people. So, articulation-wise, this thing's built to stand here, and on the upside, the silver lining of a definite lack of posability is that when you put this thing down, it stands pretty darn well. I kinda don't mind that when I play pretend that I got this for $10 and not $20 Canadian. Anyway, you wanted articulation? Cardinal Reginald Intelligence Face? Well, you got it. Anyway, this has been Internet Personality Vangelus, and once again, big thanks to everyone who watched, participated, or simply fell asleep during the fan media panel at Chicago this year, and extra shouts out to Alfie, whose various Disney merch, blind box animals, and Polaroid camera took part in the main filming session for these guys at the hotel the morning of the panel, because I had an idea in the shower and rewrote the entire panel in my head. I'm really good at organization, y'all. So good, in fact, you don't... What? Whose Fans Toys Mind Wipe?